Welcome back to News Cafe. I'm talking to Loida Nicholas Lewis, Jerry Sibal, and Edwin Josue, the three musketeers behind Noli, the opera. Now we're going to talk about the operatic tradition in the Philippines. Most Filipinos aren't aware that we even have opera. How do you make an opera like this relevant to Filipinos, Loida?
Well, for instance, in Noli, the opera, or the novel of Jose Rizal, talks about abuse of power of those in power.
Right.
It tells a story of the underclass being oppressed by the people in power, and also that education could be the key to people power. And all of that is in Noli opera, which is in a way reflects what is happening in the Philippines.
Right.
So in that way, it is very relevant and very current.
Yeah. Well, many people tend to think that when it's opera, it's boring. So maybe for young audiences, it's going to be long. I'm going to fall asleep. It's what my grandparents listen to. How did you make this particular opera more interesting or engaging for the current viewers?
More exciting for the audience. There's a perception, you know, when you say that opera, ay matutulog lang na ako. No, that's the reason why I try to adapt the new modern technologies.
Yes.
Know? And that's why we chose Resorts World, because they have the LED lights. Try to incorporate the LED lights and the modern design, and stay with the period also, because bring back the Spanish era.
Right.
You know, and show the people and show the audience that we have a culture, just to remind them. I think they've forgotten a lot, you know, and they've been very influenced by the. I would say through the internet, and you know, it's all about modernization, and that's why I have to make it very interesting. And one thing that struck me, you know, when I was in New York, we presented it. You know, a lot of younger Filipino film say, "Oh, thank you very much for, you know, making me to be a proud Filipino."
Yeah.
And they were able to accept, and also I would say they felt like, you know, they felt the whole story.
Yeah.
They can tell, they can feel it, and that's because of the video images that I did, the digital. And I know how to treat, you know, those.
Right.
I have to respect my audience, because they're paying, you know, and I have to understand what they like to attract them to come in. So I try to change the perception that they have.
And the beautiful costumes, that was a daunting task alone, no? Yeah. Now, this is something we study in school, of course, but usually it's history, then we forget it. Now, from your audience reception so far, how has it been? And, you know, from the young actors also you're working with, how do you think it's reaching, you know, how is it trickling down now back to, I mean, Edwin, what do you think?
Well, they're so happy that the actors were part of it, you know, and you know, and the people who really watch it, you know, the shows that we had in New York and Washington, D.C., after seeing it, as what Jerry said, you know, we're proud to be Filipinos. And thank you very much for bringing this Noli opera, especially for those Phil-Ams who don't have this Noli in their curriculum. They said that, you know, at least we know that we have cultural heritage that we could, you know, be proud of. So this traditional opera na matutulog, but this is really a beautiful production, and it really see, feel, and hear the melodious opera by Felipe de Leon and the libretto of Guillermo Tolentino.
That's right, both by our national artists.
And you know, the novel, the classic novel
of course. Yeah. Now, of course, with this daunting task comes a daunting, you know, financial problem. Now, the challenges of bringing this together also mean that for audiences, people may think operas are expensive. So, if you can explain, you talked about the budget being around, what is it, about
40 million to 50 million
pesos to put this together. So, if you can just explain to us where all of this goes to, where the cost, why is it so expensive to watch an opera?
Well, you know, I think they can answer it better. But for one thing, this is a 100 people, 100-person cast from orchestra, actors, the singers, and then the staff. Okay, can you imagine doing that for more than a month? Okay, so that's part of it.
Right.
Yes, and it's really very expensive to mount an opera.
Yes.
And first thing that we have to do is we make sure that we respect the actors, we pay them right, and also the productions and everything. It costs money, you know.
Of course.
You have 30-piece orchestra. You have to pay each, you know, musicians well, And plus, there's so much rehearsals. You have to pay the director. There's so much money involved.
I think it's like educating people, because usually they think for foreign actors it's okay to pay them that much. But why not local?
And being a producer, there's a huge responsibility for us. You know, we want to make sure that we don't play with the national treasure.
Right.
Because this is a national treasure. It's a national materials. We want to bring the best of Filipinos. It's not about the three of us.
Yeah.
You know? It's about what do we have. You know, like an American doctor was saying, I didn't know you have so much culture. Wait.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, that's our pride, and that's the reason why we're doing this. We're spreading, we're making people aware, and we're making people get involved. And that's why we're very thankful that you're here, as in the social, the press, the people, the social media, helping us to create this awareness. We cannot do this alone. We need partners like you.
Yeah.
That's why we're very thankful for doing this.
Well, thank you for bringing this here.
It's actually love of country,
yes,
promoting nationalism and patriotism, and that's why the three of us are here.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people, this is what you always say, this is your advocacy to kind of educate Filipinos and let the world know about our culture. Now, why do you think art is such an important way of bringing messages, or let's say, just say that cultural artifacts and experiences such as this are so significant to the country?
Well, it is significant because we have, as Filipinos, or even as a modern man, forget that there is something higher than just earning money. Okay? Art appeals to the spirit, the spiritual in us. It elevates us. It enhances our personhood. And, you know, looking at something like this, an opera sung in Filipino by Filipino artists, would just lift up our concept of ourselves as Filipinos.
Right. That's true. This kind of art ignites our patriotism. Again, yes, Jerry.
It's very, I want people to understand, because I was talking to one person who's he advocates education, and the first thing he told me, like, oh, you know what? I'm not interested in your art and culture. I'm about education. I said, excuse me, art and culture is education.
True.
It identifies you as a human being. I deal with high-profile people all over the world. They identify me. I always tell them I'm a Filipino. What I'm gonna tell them? I'm an American because I'm an American citizen? No, I'm a Filipino. I'm brown skin. You know, I'm Filipino Chinese. You know, and that's why people have to understand that. You know, they have to embrace arts and culture. It identifies us as a human being. We know about our history because of the arts and culture. You know, because of our art, because of, we've been influenced by so many cultures like Spanish, Chinese, Malay.
Right.
You know, that's why you have to know your history, you have to know your background before you can understand yourself.
It's true.
It's very important.
Yes.
Yeah, if I may add,
yes, please do.
That, you know, a country without an art has no soul.
That's true.
So the art is actually what makes us better human beings.
And art knows no politics.
Yeah.
We don't play politics here. It's promoting our culture, you know, our rich cultural heritage.
Well, some may think that well, of course, given that you were saying earlier, Lloyd, that there's a lot of case in terms of the story here, a lot of things still that are relevant. It's parallel to what's happening to us today. Now, do you think there might be some symbolism? If some political groups want to attach themselves to your production, would you allow it? Because I'm sure there's some symbolism. I mean, we talk about the government here that's corrupt. Apparently, there's going to be a buhaya that's going to be on stage, right? So may mga buhaya rin tayo dito. Do you think some people might put some political color to this? What do you have to say to that,
Art
Noida?
is in the eye of the beholder. Kung buhaya sila, makikita nila sila yun.
Tama. That's true. That's true.
So it's you know.
So it's open to different interpretations. That's also what art is about.
Also, you know, we didn't write the novel. We're just presenting it. You know, it just so happened. It's so relevant. It's so happening. And what is so sad? It's not the foreigners who are, you know, abusing us. It's our own blood. Our own people.
It's true.
That's the saddest thing for us, you know. And before you can forgive them, the Spaniards, because they're foreigners, they're trying to conquer. That's all they know. You know? But now it's not about the Spaniards. It's about your own kadugo.
Now, what's great about a play like this, it's also a good way for people to understand, you've always been saying this, to understand where we are. And through this play, I mean, it's really bringing up certain issues, and especially for the younger generations, to get them talking about it in school, right?
Those two kids, the Basil and the Crispy, my God.
So young and bringing up.
So young and so intelligent and so
Exactly. And what you're trying to do also, because not many people, let's face it, not maybe the public school kids cannot afford this. So what you're trying to do, you will offer prices also for students so that more people can see this.
Yes.
Is that right?
It's my task to try to get corporations to subsidize.
Yeah.
Because we're offering to students who will present an ID to pay only $500 because the cheapest...
Oh, $500, yeah, 500 pesos.
500 pesos, medyo tagal na sa America, laging dollar. Like 500 pesos when the cheapest ticket is 1,200.
Right.
And I'm so glad that San Miguel Corporation, Ramon Ang, and PLDT, Manny Pangilinan.
Of course, you need the sponsors.
With Smart and hopefully Meralco have already, committed to subsidize their student price.
Right. And part of the proceeds will also go to the preservation of Noli Me Tangere for the copy, right?
Yes,
National
yes,
Library.
yes.
And
hopefully we're working hard enough and people who are watching this will buy tickets so that we will have something over and above what the opera costs.
Right. And after this, you're thinking of a world tour? Europe? What's after this? Maybe it will go to Europe.
Some invitations, so we'll cross our fingers. We'll, right now we're concentrating on the here the 21 shows, but we have invitations from Turkey, Paris, Vancouver,
wow.
Canada,
excellent,
LA, and Switzerland. We're trying to promote our culture so that people would understand that, we really have our, rich cultural heritage. That's our mission.
Well, thanks for bringing this here and making us proud. Thanks for all you do, and thanks for being here on the show.
Thank you, Lindsay, for having us.
All right, thank you again now. Thanks to Lloyd and Nicholas Lewis, Jerry Sibal, and Edwin Josue for being on the show. And we'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll talk to some of the cast members of Noli Me Tangere, the opera. How would you compare the different productions? So you've been in the New York, Washington, D.C., and now the Philippines one. How do they all compare?
Yeah, totally different. And what differentiates that is the director's vision. The way that the stage director, wants a specific scene. Like, for example, for Sisa, in D.C., Anna, the stage director, had very specific ideas of what made Sisa crazy. And I had a prop that was like a leaf in a branch or whatever, and that sometimes became my child, and that sometimes became something else. And here it's completely different. Direct Freddie, has me using a basket, So like there's subtle differences that simply just change the production in itself. As a whole, the opera has stayed the same, but the way that singers sing even, and interactions, because they're different singers, there's so many things that blossom and differ just by simply switching up the singers.
What for you would be the favorite or the highlight of the production here in the Philippines?
Oh, well, I think that, number one, the fact that we're doing this opera in the Philippines and the opera is about the Philippines is a very momentous occasion. So I think that means something to all of us in the cast. It's very, very memorable, and we're very proud to do it. And that rings through everything that we do. It resonates, So the simple fact that we're all here and we're all very proud of what we're doing adds a different level of energy to it.
What sort of messages can the public get from this for this day and age?
Well, there's a lot, and I mean, not even to just talk about the political side of things. Everybody can say and see that there is still oppression going on right now and all of that. But if you want to look at it in another sense, musically, who would ever think here in the Philippines, except for a few in the small operatic community, to ever be an opera singer? I didn't like opera when I was a kid. When in Cebu, my God, whenever there was classical music, it was like, turn that off, although I played piano. But, I mean, whoever considers that as a profession? No one, right? So here's an opportunity for people to say, wow, here are Filipino artists breaking out of the cycle to do what they're passionate about and promoting Filipino culture. That's empowering.